Dear friends, a very good morning. Hello and welcome to the 11th Russian Internet Governance Forum. And congratulations, happy birthday to .ru, the national Russian domain. Today we are celebrating its 27 years. Basically, those of you who are not here for the first time, and I can see that in the room we have many familiar faces, it's a pleasure to welcome you again. You know that the Russian RIGF always coincides with the .ru birthday. For the first time, we held it in May 2010 on the day and in the year when Russia was delegated the second Cyrillic national domain .rf. And this time we welcome you to the 11th forum. It should have been the 12th forum, but for obvious reasons last year, out of all the events in the line of events of internet governance, we only managed to host the online summer school on internet governance, but we were preparing the youth forum and we held it yesterday and it was a major success. I'm sure you will hear and get to see a lot about it today in subsequent days. But now to open the forum, please welcome Minister of Digital Development, Communications and Mass Media of the Russian Federation, Maxut Shadayev. Let's have a round of applause. Maxut Igoryevich, please come to the stage. Good morning, good day, dear colleagues, everyone who is here in the room and everyone who is watching us online. On behalf of the Russian government, I welcome all participants of the 11th forum. This year, it is organized in a hybrid format, but it is a pleasure that more and more events assemble people offline as well. I hope that the pandemic will wane very soon and we will go back to our conventional offline formats. The internet is the blood system or a nervous system of every modern society, and just like every other nervous system, it needs to be treated carefully. You know that nervous cells do not restore, cannot be recovered. Russia was at the nascency, at the very cradle of the international initiative on internet governance, on setting up the rules. It was one of the first countries which established a national site which was called to coordinate this dialogue. It is clear that today we face new challenges and new threats, and there are new trends around. We see that many countries today are limiting the distribution of national technologies. They are preventing their services and systems to be used in other countries. On the other hand, the high-tech giants are expanding their presence. Often they are oppressing local ecosystems in this process. We see that in the pandemic quite clearly. The cybercrime, cyber fraud was on the rise, and therefore we must look for means to counter those crimes. Another important trend of the day is data. Data is the new oil, and we need to look for new approaches to data management and data governance. The International Telecommunications Union has traditionally played an important role in the organization of this process. It's a historic and a venerable organization that contributed a lot to the development of the telecommunications and mass media market. I have to say that this year, Russia has a candidate. Proposed a candidate for the soon to open a vacancy of the secretary of this organization, Rashid Ismailov. I hope that today he'll be able to present his program, and we will support Rashid's candidacy, definitely, and we wish him every success. On my own behalf, I wanted to say that we are committed to the format of this site, of this forum. We're sure that it considers all the important issues, and that dialogue that takes place here is extremely valuable to us. We wish all the participants of the forum a very successful work. Everything that will be discussed here will definitely be taken on board by all the stakeholders. Minister Shadayev, could you please stay on the stage? Don't go just yet. There is another ceremony that we have planned, and the state awards will be are to be awarded later today. But now we would like to welcome to the stage Tatyana Matveeva, Head of the Department for the Development of Information and Communication Technologies and Communication Infrastructure from the Presidential Executive Office. The microphone is here, and yesterday at the Youth Forum we talked a lot why we need international cooperation. Coordination Center at the end of last year established a Center of Competencies for Global Cooperation. Why? For me, cooperation is dialogue. It is dialogue that enables us to arrive at agreements and consensus, as Minister Shadayev has mentioned today, against the background that certain challenges online are rising. It is extremely important that we hear each other and that we develop good decisions jointly as one international community. Yesterday at the Youth Internet Governance Forum, the first deputy of the presidential office, of the head of the presidential office, Mr. Kiriyenko, emphasized the importance of international cooperation, the importance of drafting international rules of communication and interaction with IT giants, and making sure that these IT giants comply with the national regulation. The internet is open, but this openness should not interfere with the capability of the state to enforce its rules and to be able to protect the interests of the citizens and to safeguard its infrastructure and the information space. I believe that it is high time that we developed some public contract or an agreement that would clearly define the roles and obligations of all stakeholders, the states, the global IT players, and of course the users of the internet. I believe that at this site, at this forum, we will be able to discuss all these important matters and develop a strategic vision that will bring us closer to building an open, a stable, and a friendly internet ecosystem in Russia and abroad. Thank you very much. And now I will ask you to, again, stay at the center of the stage. I will remind you that last year we celebrated an anniversary of .rf, and before that we celebrated 25 years of .ru, and the President of Russia awarded government awards, state awards, to the people who contributed greatly to the development of the Russian segment of the global internet, who contributed to creating the RUNET infrastructure. And for their country, the internet and the Russian segment of the internet, the Medal of the Order of the Second Degree for the Merit of the Motherland is awarded to Alexei Basov from the Russian venture company. Alexei, please come to the stage. Thank you. If you would like to say something, the microphone is here. Yes, sure. Dear friends, I will use this opportunity and say something. It is a great honor for me, personally, and it is especially important that the government recognized the effort of the whole community with this award, with this medal. I think that this medal is a sign that the government believes that internet development is essential not only for the business development but also for the well-being of the state and the benefit of the society. Please welcome Mr. Burkov, Dmitry Burkov, the chair of the Foundation for the Promotion of the Internet Development. Dmitry? Dmitry receives the Medal of the Second Class Order Merit for the Fatherland. One of the founding fathers of RUNET, the legendary Dmitry Burkov. Thank you very much for this award. I'm not sure if I deserve it, really. Well, I believe that it shouldn't be mine. It should be awarded to the people who have always stood by me and who worked with me. Some of them are my students, and it's an honor to have known you. Garzhasan Vladimir Akhilovich is the next recipient of this medal. Thank you very much for awarding me this high honor, and I share it with a big group of people, of experts, who are here in the room and who are watching this ceremony online as well. Thank you very much. The medal of this second-class order, Merit for the Fatherland, goes to Dolmatov Vladimir, the advisor for technology of a Kryptonite company. Well, should I say something? I think my work speaks better for me than I will be able to ever say. The medal also goes to Artemy Lebedev, General Director of the Artemy Lebedev Studio. Thank you. Thank you. Maxim Mashkov, lib.ru website administrator, the Mashkov Library administrator. Maxim receives the Medal of the Second-Class Order, Merit for the Fatherland. For a long time, my ambition was to collect all books ever written on one side, but it's not enough just to collect the books. It's important to share them with the people. So I wanted to thank the Russian internet for enabling me to do this, to live my dream. Thank you very much. And the Medal of the Second-Class Order, Merit for the Fatherland, also goes to Andrey Romanov, Deputy Director of the Coordination Center. Very briefly, I serve my fatherland. Thank you very much. And now the Diploma of Honor from the Russian President goes to Ms. Vidanova, head of the department of the .ru Coordination Center. Here is your pin, and here is your diploma. Thank you. Thank you, dear friends, dear colleagues. I want to thank everyone, and I want to wish the industry and everyone who works for the industry to flourish and to succeed in everything that you do. The Presidential Diploma is awarded to Andrey Vorobyev, Director of .ru Coordination Center. I serve RUNET. We'd like to invite now to the stage Elena Voronina, Director of the MSK IX. Thank you very much. I would like to thank everyone and wish you all the best. Georgy Georgievsky, head of the department of .ru center, please would you come to the stage? Thank you for the honor. For most of my life, I've been associated with the internet industry and with user and customer service. So I want to thank everyone who, just like me, has been always helping the users, regular users in the internet. On the 12th of July, the Coordination Center is going to celebrate another anniversary, and Georgy has been with us from day one, and he has always worked in the customer service department. Elena Danelli, the Deputy Director of the Coordination Center, could you please come to the stage? Thank you very much. And I hope, I'm sure, that the Russian internet will develop as dynamically and as actively and for the benefit of all mankind. Natalia Konovalova, the analyst of the Center of Competencies for Input Replacement in the field of ICTs. Thank you. The presidential diploma is awarded to Sokolov Alexei, Director for the Development of a Network Infrastructure with Yandex. Well, I think Alexei is still stuck somewhere in the traffic jam, but we are going to pass the word on to him later. And now we'd like to invite Mark Tverdynin, the head of Rashid. Thank you very much. It is a privilege and an honor. RUNET is unthinkable without public organizations. Rashid, RIGF, and other not-for-profit organizations have contributed greatly to the promotion of the Russian internet. The presidential diploma is awarded to Pavel Hilov, Director of the Expert Center for E-Government. Congratulations. Thank you very much, colleagues. Thank you. Thank you, Pavel. And the presidential diploma is also awarded to Pavel Khramtsov, head of projects at MSKIX. Thank you very much. Well, I just wanted to say that without the team, without the people who worked with me, nothing like this would have ever happened. So it's an award for everyone. Thank you very much. And we close the ceremony of awarding government awards. But because we are celebrating birthday of .ru, there is something in .rf. There are some gifts that we have specially for you, our guests. This are the special pins that are in the shape of .ru and .rf logos. Thank you very much for joining us today, and thank you for supporting the development of the domain industry. Thank you very much. I understand that your schedule is very tight, so we'll have to let you go now, and we'll continue with our opening ceremony. Thank you. Let's have a round of applause. Dear participants,
I'd like to remind you that the working languages of the forum are both English and Russian. If you follow us online, please choose the English channel pressing the globe button in Zoom. Also, we are broadcasting live on the RIGF website as well as on the YouTube and YouTube channels.
Ну, мы, собственно, рассказали, что у нас два рабочих языка.
So we've just announced that we have two working languages, and now we'd like to give the floor to Alexander Khinstein, the deputy of the state Duma and the chair of the Committee on Information Policy, Technologies and Communications. This is our supervising committee of the Russian Parliament. Welcome to RIGF. Yes, good morning, dear colleagues, friends, those of you who are here in the room and those who are watching the broadcast. Well, first of all, I would like to congratulate everyone who received the government awards, and I wish you all every success in your future endeavors. As you were receiving the awards, most of you said you serve RUNET, but RUNET is part of the country, and it means, by implication, that you are serving your country. We are holding this forum as the pandemic is waning, and fortunately now we are able to hold this hybrid event. Some of the people are here in this hall, and we can also start drawing some conclusions out of the pandemic experience. I think that we can all be proud, and we can state that the Russian technology and the Russian infrastructure was ready for this kind of challenge, and that's why we all experienced a real breakthrough in the development of internet technologies in our country, when many people, they had to start using many social functions online, and I believe that this was made possible through the active and useful work organized together by the state and the business, and this is the outcome of the policy that's been implemented for the several past years, aimed at developing the internet as one of the key drivers of the national economy. Russia has always been famous for the brains of the people who live here, and we have many good cases, good examples of very successful IT projects in the internet, among other things. And in many of the segments, we are leaders. Russian companies are leaders in the domestic market. And this actually stresses the need to further promote the internet in every aspect of life. And if this happens, then we'll be secure and we'll be able to withstand any challenge, regardless of anything, regardless of anyone. The pandemic, although, yes, it gave some positive impulses for the development, but at the same time it was a good nurture ground for the cybercrime. According to official statistics, every fourth crime registered in Russia last year was somehow connected to ICTs, information communication technologies, 24.9%. Every year we record twice as many crimes of this nature year on year. 80% of these crimes tend to be severe and grave crimes. Mostly we are talking about fraud, cyber fraud. Besides, we should remember that much crime is latent, and many crimes cannot be brought by the perpetrators to the end for reasons that are not dependent on the criminals. Those crimes are stopped by various security systems implemented by the financial sector, by other players in the market, and very often these crimes are not registered. And of course, the police and other special services are working hard to disrupt those crimes, but just through oppression. This cannot be achieved, and as it has already been said, we need to come to a new public agreement. You know that There is an initiative currently discussed by the state Duma that comes from the community itself to introduce special norms and provisions for social advertisement in the internet. Last year, there was a voluntary agreement between from all the key players in the market when 5% of their time they are now allocating to social advertisement, social publicity. This is a good example when the society and the state comes together to achieve common goals. And the goals are quite clear. The digital environment should be useful and should be easy to navigate. The internet should be a secure environment, an environment that develops and not promotes stagnation in the society. And of course, internet crime and its tremendous growth forces us to think harder about new internet governance practices. Today, I hear often that the government and the Russian parliament is all about repression, but this is lies. This is not true. The Russian legislation in the internet is one of the more liberal around the world, and the challenges that Russia faces today as a result of the monopoly of IT giants are the challenges that other countries also have to face, and many of those interactions, they end up in conflict. You can look at the case of Australia or the case of the European Union. All the effort that we are taking today is aimed at securing our internet sovereignty and the development of the internet. Thank you very much, colleagues, for giving me the opportunity to speak at the opening ceremony of this forum. And in conclusion, I just wanted to state that our committee is always open for dialogue. The parliament is a place for discussions. Many people present in this room are experts of our committee, and they are often can contribute to our discussions. We always consult with the stakeholders when we're discussing any matter of interest to the industry. And again, in conclusion, let me say that I'm absolutely confident that all of our efforts, dear colleagues, will lead to the successes and the results of which we will be proud. There are many things that we can already be proud of, and I hope that today we will hear a lot of interesting and new, novel ideas on internet governance. Well, thank you very much. You covered all of the agenda, actually. You mentioned all the problems and issues that we plan to discuss in the next 3 days. We hope to see you back tomorrow, because the role of parliamentarians is extremely important. The public agreement, the governance of different users, and how the government can help to solve various issues in the relations. So thank you very much also for coming to the Global Forum, the 2020 Global Internet Governance Forum. In last year, the Parliament track was made an independent track inside of the Global Governance Forum. It's very important that it's not just a platform for discussion. When this idea only emerged back in 2003 and 2004, and Russia will be hosting the Global Forum soon, and I hope that by that time we will be able to take specific decisions, not just limit ourselves with discussions, but to take specific decisions at this platform. And we'll continue our opening ceremony. Can we please start the Zoom broadcast? Let's make sure that we can see and hear Anriette Esterhuysen. Anriette is the Multistakeholder Committee chair at RIGF. Hello, Anriette.
Anriette, good morning. Can you hear us?
Good morning. I'm just muting. Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Good. Thank you very much for inviting me. It is an honor to be part of the Russian IGF for the first time. And it was really a pleasure to be part of this process of you honoring and recognizing the effort of individuals. So my heartfelt congratulations to everyone who received a recognition for their contribution. Change happens through individuals and through institutions, and it's very important in the internet that we recognize the contributions of individuals. As has been said, I am currently the chairperson of the Global IGF, Internet Governance Forum's Multi-Stakeholder Advisory Group. I'm speaking to you from Johannesburg, South Africa, so very far away. And I just want to start on a personal note. Prior to being chair of the MAG, I was part of a civil society network called the Association for Progressive Communications, which is the world's largest international civil society network. And APC has a very close link to the internet in Russia. And that was because in the 1990s, when it was still the Soviet Union, when APC as a network were doing groundbreaking work, particularly in developing countries, to bring internet to people, working with the United Nations, we had a partner called Glasnet in the Soviet Union at that time. And Glasnet was a source of technical expertise for all the work that we did in APC. And this was pre the public internet. This was when there were pioneers that were being innovative and using phone lines and X25 and UUCP. And personally, at that time, I was managing an ISP, an internet service provider in South Africa. And once we had a crisis, a technical crisis, and I was then the recipient of a Russian technician who came from Moscow to help us and solve our technical problems. So there was this very important connection for us with the early internet pioneers in at that time, the Soviet Union. Well, just to move on. So you all know about the Global IGF. It's an outcome of the World Summit on the Information Society process, the UN Summit, where UN member states in 2005 agreed that there was a need for a global forum for dialogue and debate on internet public policy. Since then, the IGF has taken place every year since 2006, and this year we'll have the 16th IGF that will take place as a hybrid event, partially virtual, but also we hope face-to-face in Katowice in Poland. And I want to thank our Russian member of the Multi-Stakeholder Advisory Group, Mr. Roman Chukov, who's one of the members of this group that is appointed by the UN Secretary General to organize and design the format and process of the Global IGF. So Roman, I trust you are there in the room or connected virtually. Thank you very much for all your hard work.
Roma is hearing you.
The IGF has become over time more than an event. It's a process that includes intersessional components. In fact, the national and regional IGFs, events such as yours, as the Russian IGF, have become part of this IGF ecosystem. And through that, I think we've really succeeded in democratizing and expanding participation in internet public policy debate. And having these discussions at national level is really very important, because I think, as most of us know, that global forums can be very useful, they are very important, but to really implement change and achieve concrete collaboration and learning, you need to work on the ground, and you need to work at national level. You need to recognize people and bring institutions together, facilitate connections between government and business and the technical community and civil society, and that happens at national level. The IGF now has several components that operate throughout the year, that achieve certain results, such as best practice forums. This year we have two, one focused on gender and access, and one focused on cybersecurity. And that best practice forum is producing quite concrete results for the last few years. There are also dynamic coalitions, and these are self-organized communities of practice that focus on particular aspects such as media sustainability and diversity, community networks and local connectivity, Internet of Things. So these dynamic coalitions are independent from the IGF, but they still report back to and draw in the participation of the broader IGF community. And this year we have a new innovation, partly in response to the UN Secretary General's Roadmap for Digital Cooperation. And we refer to them as policy networks. There are two that will operate in 2021, one on environment, on internet and environmental sustainability and climate change, and another on meaningful access and connectivity. And these policy networks are designed to be driven by experts in their fields, to look at the outcomes of the IGF, and to facilitate stakeholder participation in more concrete formulation of issues for debate, possible policy recommendations, to play a role in taking the outcomes of IGF discussions and to communicate them to other institutions. And of course, we have national and regional IGFs. And there are well over 130 already operating in all parts of the world. And they form a connection between the local and the global. And so for us at the global IGF, having this link with the national and regional IGFs is a way of retaining legitimacy, of forming connections, and of being able to listen to what are really the issues that affect people at a national level and a regional level, and to make sure that we discuss that from a global perspective at the IGF. Now I'd like to tell you a little bit more about IGF 2021. We are trying to gradually move towards a more outcome-oriented and impactful IGF. This has been a recommendation that we've received from the IGF community and from various intergovernmental forums as well over many years. And to do that, we're trying to focus the discussion on the IGF to be deeper and more focused on fewer issues rather than touching many issues very broadly. To do that, to achieve that, this year the MAG has decided that the IGF will have two baskets of topical issues. One which are referred to as the main focus areas, and another which are referred to as cross-cutting and emerging issue areas. And I will just run through these very briefly so that you know what they are. I'm not going to use a presentation, but I will just tell you what they are. The main focus areas this year will be economic and social inclusion and human rights, and secondly, meaningful access and connectivity. Sorry, I just tried to mute my phone. Then working as cross-cutting issue areas, which relate to these main focus areas, but which we also have as issues which are open, which allows people in the IGF community to propose sessions on a broader range of issues. We have the following areas. Firstly, emerging regulation. As many of you would know, that the discussion about where there is a need for regulation, whether there is a need for regulation in internet-related matters, has moved on quite substantially. And I think there is now more of a recognition that in order to keep the internet open, to ensure that human rights are respected, to ensure that there's a level playing field in terms of competition, that we need to have more of a common understanding of how the internet can be regulated without harming its openness and its innovation. So this is a cross-cutting topic. The second cross-cutting topic is environment and climate change, which remains a global priority. And what we do in the internet community are doing in response to that is increasingly important. pattern, particularly as the internet industry itself has become a very significant contributor to global warming. Trust and cybersecurity is a further issue that is a cross-cutting area for this year, and that remains the backbone of an interconnected internet is the ability to trust that it's secure, that information and communications can be shared and communicated between individuals, between institutions, between banks, between businesses, between journalists, with the trust that it is reaching where it should reach without being intercepted. And then finally, we also have as a cross-cutting theme, digital cooperation and creating an inclusive internet governance ecosystem, improving how we make policy about the internet globally at institutional level, within industry, within the academic community, and also responding to the opportunity of the UN Secretary General's roadmap for digital cooperation is also a priority for the IGF. And when the MAG puts out the call for session proposals, you are all invited to contribute, and you can contribute proposals either for the main focus areas, which is meaningful access and economic and social inclusion and human rights, or for one of these cross-cutting areas. Finally, IGF 21, in recognition of the ongoing impact of the pandemic, will adopt a hybrid approach. And by that we mean that while we are looking forward to having a face-to-face event in Poland that will be hosted by the host country Poland this year at Katowice, we also have to recognize that as a result of the pandemic, many people will not be able to be there. And therefore the IGF will have both a face-to-face component and integrate virtual mechanisms for participation. And in fact, these virtual mechanisms for participation, even beyond the impact of the pandemic, creates an opportunity for people who cannot afford to travel or who are not able to travel to participate. So the design of IGF 2021 will be in two phases. The first will be a preparatory phase, which will be launched in June. This preparatory phase will allow for preparatory online sessions focused on IGF 2021 issue areas. And we hope particularly to use this phase to allow for discussions in different languages and in different time zones. And to look at regional priorities and the priorities of specific stakeholder groups. And in other words, to have a discussion on the main topics that actually prepares and can feed into the final global forum, which will take place in Katowice in December from 6 to 10 December in Poland. And at that annual forum, we'll again, as in the past, have different tracks. We'll have a high-level track, we'll have a parliamentary track, and we'll have different types of sessions that are interactive, networking sessions, main sessions, where we have speakers who are experts in their areas, and then we'll have the same open and inclusive format that we have at each IGF, where people have the freedom to speak, to express concerns and to debate. But ultimately, what we want to achieve with IGF 2021 is, particularly in those two main focus areas, more concrete outcomes, outcomes that can then be used by people that are doing internet policy work on a day-to-day basis, be they institutions inside the UN system, multi-stakeholder institutions like ICANN, or even individual national governments, or individual universities or programs for IGF for internet governance related research and education. And that is our goal, that this body of knowledge and expertise that we find in the IGF, both at the global event, but also through the national and regional IGFs, such as the Russian IGF, that we can take this expertise and facilitate debate that's open, that's multi-stakeholder and inclusive, but then channel that debate into messages that can be used in the form of emerging recommendations or suggestions for further work and exploration, and therefore serve as a very useful but concrete input to the many institutions and spaces that work with internet-related policy on a day-to-day basis. So in that sense, the IGF is in fact a platform for public participation in global, national, and regional and industry-specific internet-related policy and regulation. That's what we dream the IGF will become, to be the space that will always facilitate this level of public participation and connect participation with internet governance decisions when and where they are made.
Anriette, thank you very much for your words.
It's an honor to be here. I really look forward to your participation in the IGF in 2021. You can follow the IGF website for more information on how to participate. The call for workshop proposals and session proposals will go out towards the end of this month. And I really do look forward also to an IGF that's hosted in the Russian Federation. And I'm very happy that we no longer have to wait very long for that to happen. So thank you very much to the Russian government for offering to host the IGF. And I know that there will be many individuals and companies and institutions from other stakeholder groups who will participate in that process. So thank you very much.
Thank you again,
for this opportunity. And I wish you a very productive Russian National IGF 2021.
Thanks a lot, Anriette.
Спасибо большое. Да, мы тоже надеемся увидеться с Anriette.
Yes, thank you very much, and we hope very much to meet you, Anriette, in person in the Polish Katowice in December this year. We are willing to participate in any format, actually, hybrid, online, face-to-face. Our industry was one of the first to learn and to master these skills. Anriette has said that climate change, for instance, and sustainable development is one of the focus areas for the global IGF. And many institutions have already agreed that even after the pandemic, many of the events will be held for them online. And other events they intend to organize in the places which have good logistics, that are good hubs, so that people don't need to travel too much. And you can see that the internet community is also very much interested in reducing its environmental impact. And let's check if Rashid Ismailov, the president of VimpelCom, is with us, and if Rashid is here, then we'll be happy to ask him a few questions. Rashid, we can see you. Hello. We can see you, but we can't hear you yet. My mic is on. Oh, good. We can hear you. Very well, Rashid. A couple of words about the forum itself. I remember when you were deputy minister and you were welcomed at the Internet Governance Forum. I remember people were listening carefully and attentively to you. Do you think that there is still as much interest to what the Russian stakeholders have to say? Well, since I resigned from my government position, I never participated in international forums, only in the Russian, well, apart from Barcelona, but that was the World Mobile Forum. It's more in the field of mass communications rather than the internet. But I think that, yes, there is still a lot of interest to the contribution of the Russian stakeholders, because Russia has always been the country that often would raise non-trivial and often provocative, maybe, issues at the international arena. And I hope that our delegation in Katowice will be a good representative of the country. As to the forum, Minister Shadayev. Well, I didn't know that he was going to announce my candidacy for the General Secretary of the ITU, but I wanted to say that a forum in ancient Rome was not just a place where people would come to exchange their opinions, but a forum was a place where Roman citizens would be receiving various awards, and I'm very happy that today Vasily Dolmatov was one of the recipients of the government awards. There aren't many countries in the world probably that are celebrating at the government level the people who contributed to the development of the internet. As to the forum, our forum, a forum in Moscow is an excellent opportunity for me. Well, right now I'm on vacation, but because we are now fluent in this online mode, for me it's an excellent opportunity to be present at the Moscow, the Russian Internet Governance Forum. The Internet is already, 50 years old? For many industries, 50 years is old age. It's the age of maturity. And it is the time when industries start deriving lessons out of all their past experiences. The internet started as a community of academicians, of scientists. They thought that the internet would be like this world library, according to Borges. And then there was a dot-com boom, and everybody hoped that it will, the internet will be the quintessence of market capitalism. But then the dot-coms crashed, and the California ideology emerged, the ideology of cyber communism. And I was very sympathetic with this technology, I have to admit, and I hoped that this sharing economy or gift economy that many magazines, like Wired, for instance, Wired was like a Bible for many people associated with the internet. We all believed that it will continue in this new fashion. But then we saw the crisis hit, and then Snowden, and then as parliamentarian Khinstein said that 90% of crime is ICT-related crime, and all because of all of these events, there was a lot of alarmism in the society. We started talking about localizing the internet. We started talking about ring-fencing the internet. It's an old medieval term when in England people would be ousted from their own lands, and the lands would be turned to pastures. Now many people are very, digitally pessimistic. They're digital pessimists. I believe that, we've been witnessing this evolution with our own eyes. And we have to understand that today the main question is striking the right balance, the balance between human and the digital. The shift of accents, the shift towards the digital, towards the technology, causes resistance. I remember when I was a member of the Russian delegation to RIGF, and the Russian government and Russian president would instruct us to keep talking about the humanitarian aspects of the internet, that people are important, that yes, technology is important, but we should not neglect humans, we should not forget about the humanitarian aspects, and we need to find ways to organize this cooperation, communication between transnational corporations and governments and people, the users. I was told that I can only have 5 minutes speaking here, so to conclude, I think that at RIGF and IGF in general, we are already beyond the stage when say, if we were to take the example from the automotive industry, the internal combustion engine, about 50, 60 years after the cars, the very first automobiles were designed, people started thinking about various means of security, like safety belts. Well, every country has its own legislation, but we have one internet. So ring fencing is not a very promising practice from my point of view, and I believe that if we talk about the internet and the future of the humankind, there is this this idea Rashid, one of the ideologists of the internet, who said that the only working model of communism emerged at the peak of Cold War and with the money of the American defense industry, which is the internet. And the internet is in a major transformation. The technology, the network, things that's been happening with it and through it. It's something that should be preserved and should be continued in the future. So I wish you all a very productive day and many new constructive ideas. A forum is not just a place of discussion. In ancient Rome, a forum was a place to take decisions, and I think that there are many things that we can discuss and argue about even. We should be able to come to agreement in the end. Well, yes, thank you very much. Our next session will be with your participation, and there will not be limiting you in terms of how much time you have to deliver your idea, but our opening ceremony it only has 2 hours, and we need to go quickly through all the key challenges and key priorities of the conference and also of the internet. At Skolkovo, as I have already said, yesterday we held our first Youth Russian Internet Governance Forum. It was not the first initiative of its kind. Of course, many permanent participants of the RIGF know that in St. Petersburg, in Moscow, we would be holding the so-called Day Zero, when our experts would be coming to various educational institutions, would give lectures there. And if you ask me at which colleges and which universities did they speak, well, we went to the Bauman Technical University, for instance, or we went to MGIMO, the Moscow State Institute of International Relations, and our experts spoke to the lawyers, the future lawyers there. So yesterday at Skoltech, we selected the first Russian youth internet ombudsman, and that person is elected. That person is in the room, and we will invite that person to the stage as soon as we have watched a quick video that will give us an overview of the first Youth Russian Internet Governance Forum. Please take a look at the screen.
Well,
I think that the video gives a good idea of how things went and the atmosphere. So let's have a round of applause to all the participants of the Youth Russian Internet Governance Forum, and please welcome Dmitry Gulyaev, the Russian Ombudsman, Youth Ombudsman. Dmitry is from the Kutafian Law Institute of Russia, and Alexei is from MGIMO. And I know that there is also Irina Trapeznikova as part of your team, and she's an engineer and she studies at the Bauman Technical University. I was there at the site, and I remember how you presented your programs. We had a jury, and there were 6 candidates, and they all presented the programs. And when I was writing in the social media that we are now holding elections of the Russian Youth Internet Ombudsman, people were asking the question, why, and how can I be part of this process? Well, good afternoon. Yesterday we held the very first Youth Russian Internet Governance Forum. I'm sure that many of the participants want to return back to the second and the third, and we hope that the Youth RIGF will be a good tradition from now on. Trends are important to the younger generation. We analyze them constantly, we follow the trends, and very often we do not notice those who set the trends. And actually, the forum yesterday was not just us getting on top of the wave of this trend, but we are creating the trend. We are setting the new trend. I'm now a member of the team of the Youth Internet Ombudsman. I'm sure we'll be able to organize effective and open discussion platforms and to coordinate existing projects, as well as to implement many future initiatives. The younger generation is the future of the society. So the projects that involve the youth are essential. Youth are full of vigor, they are full of forces, but of course, one thing that they lack is a life experience. So it's very important that there are mentors, there are people of the older generations who would be willing to support the younger generation and to share their experience. And it's something that actually happened yesterday. So on behalf of the young participants of the forum, I wanted to thank the organizers for inviting all the key speakers to us. The president of the Russian Federation, President Putin, sent a welcome address to the guests and the participants of the Youth Internet Governance Forum. The Russian president believes that it's an important initiative, and he wished us every success. 200 young people came to Skolkovo. They participated offline, and more than 5,000 people connected to the online broadcast. We were broadcasting in 2 languages, and that's how we managed to capture people from around the world. There were participants from Southeast Asia, from the Baltic states, from Eastern Europe, and other places of the world. And yesterday, as part of different sessions, breakout sessions, we held discussions on various important issues like digital addiction, and also data protection, and also brain drain, and also digital economy. We heard from the leading experts and representatives of the Russian companies, Russian businesses, and also members of the Russian government. The Youth Forum received a lot of support from all kind of stakeholders, and Mr. Kiriyenko spoke about this important dialogue between the users and the state and the industry, the community. We hope that the younger generation will be able to maintain the drive of this synergy, and the Russian initiative on organizing a Youth Forum was recognized by the United Nations Organization. The Deputy General Secretary of the UN addressed us, the participants, with a welcome address, and we believe that this kind of support from the international community and the leading experience of Russia will make the Youth Forum a basis, a foundation for more international discussion sites and platforms. And we'll be happy to meet and to talk with the representatives of the youth from other countries. So once again, it was a useful and a very exciting event. We also drafted a youth message, and I would like the Youth Digital Ombudsman, Dmitry Kalyaev, to read these messages from the youth. Yes, good day, dear guests and dear participants of the forum. Allow me to walk you through the key messages from the Youth Russian Internet Governance Forum. We, the participants of the Youth Russian Internet Governance Forum, recognize that the future of the global network is in our hands. And in the spirit of the United Nations principles, we call upon all stakeholders to take resolute action to bridge the digital divide, to guarantee human rights online, just like they're guaranteed offline, to introduce and to develop institutes of virtual human rights protection, to organize courses to train and retrain specialists whose professions in the times of digital transformation are under the threat of disappearance from the markets. We call upon everyone to create motivation for the younger people to join the industry and to set up special beneficial treatments for youth digital startups. Then, in the field of digital ethics and hygiene, it's important to identify and to prevent risks of digital addictions among the youth, and that's why we ask the international community to organize a regular activity, the hour of digital detox, data and content. We ask everyone to improve the accountability of businesses for the content that they place on their sites. We also ask to promote trustworthy content. It's important to create a stable, non-discriminatory internet environment where the roles and obligations of all stakeholders would be clearly defined. We also ask to take measures to fight the shadow segment of the internet, and under the UN aegis, we ask to create a repository of digital heritage of United Nations member states. With the young community, welcome the idea to set up the Institute of the Youth Internet Ombudsman in Russia, and we call all UN member states to set up similar institutions and also to organize a global forum of youth internet ombudsmen in 2022. And now I want to address the question that came from the moderator of this discussion. So we confirmed that we are open to the dialogue, we are open to new ideas, and we are open to new people. Whatever the platforms, whatever the channels, you can contact me or you can contact my wonderful team. We'll work together, we're sure that our cooperation will be fruitful. Thank you. Thank you, Dmitry. I've every confidence in you. You can find all the contact details at the website of the Youth Internet Governance Forum. You can find a link to that website at the RIGF website. Yesterday, during the closed session of the forum, Mr. Kiriyenko mentioned that he hoped that the forum would become another tradition and would be would become part of the global internet governance process. I'm sure that it's something that is going to happen. Yesterday, I was also asking all the young participants of the Youth Russian Forum to participate not only in the national forum but also in the regional ones. And yes, there is a tradition of the youth forums regionally and internationally. Our neighbors, there is the European dialogue on internet governance. They are holding a youth forum in June, and plus in December we'll be meeting in Poland. It will be great if the newly elected Russian Youth Internet Ombudsman would participate in these activities and would send the message from the Russian younger internet community to the international youth internet community. Thank you very much. We wish you every success. Thank you for informing us about your agenda, about your activities, and let's work together. Okay, we have another tradition which is also related to the youth. You know that this is going to be the 6th time when at the Russian Internet Governance Forum we'll be celebrating the winners of the IP and IT law award contest. The sixth is going to be the sixth National Youth Contest of Works on Information Technology, Intellectual Property, that will be celebrated. I wanted to invite Marina now, who is the who is cooperating with the State Duma and who is going to help you. Alexandra? Okay, good. Very good. Can you please take the floor and say a few words about this competition and who takes part in it? Because again, I know that there are participants from the Kutafin Institute, MGIMO, Bauman. Yes, well, thank you for giving me the floor, Andrey. It is always a pleasure to come to RIGF. I have to say something about the competition. First, introduce it to the audience. I know that we're pressed for time. It's a great competition, and we have wonderful participants. But I think that probably this information is not enough. The papers that were presented. We have a jury. When we held the first competition, we had about 15 papers submitted, good works, good people. But this year, we collected about 100 submissions, and the jury has to take a different approach. They assess, they have to find new ways to assess these works. Our experts, they're saying that there are some works that they rated very highly, but with which they could not agree, for instance. So we are talking about some serious research that these young people are doing. The contestants, they refer to international best practices. They work with various sources of literature. They understand what intellectual property is. They do some very profound research. Today, we can say that we always aim at improving the quality of the submissions. We want the students, the younger generation, to be interested, to get interested in problems that are relevant to the modern-day internet community. We want them to make a sensible contribution into the development of the industry. We want our winners also to have good prizes and also to enjoy their participation in this contest. So without further ado, let's turn to the prizes. Let me introduce Tatyana Novikova. She is the head of social projects and the supervisor of IP and IT Law Award and Competition at the Coordination Center. We will stay on stage just in case, but now let's hear the names of the winners from you. Let's start the ceremony. She is the winner of the third place. Ala wrote a paper on analysis of free licenses. The title is much longer than that, but it's a really important topic. There was a lot of comparison and there was a lot of research into the way the creative work is being used. Yeah, well, thank you very much. It is a real privilege for me to be receiving this award. You know that the information technology, artificial intelligence, are becoming ubiquitous, and we know that there are many cases where you have an intellectual property and on the one hand, and you have technology on the other hand. And in my work, I analyzed cases where different pieces of music, for instance, is used to train artificial intelligence. So in the next several years, we'll have to come to an agreement and find an answer to the question, is this a violation of intellectual property rights, or is this a normal course of events? Is this a normal, like natural history of this process? So I wanted to thank everyone who enabled this contest, and I'm also proud to be participating in it together with other colleagues. Okay, this is your diploma. Thank you very much. Thank you. This is our laureate. This is the winner of the third place. Artificial intelligence actually was discussed yesterday at the Youth Forum. We had a special stand there. There was a presentation on the poetry written by artificial intelligence. One of the topics that we discussed yesterday was who is the author, who should be considered the author of poetry, of creative work that is produced by artificial intelligence. Actually, we will go back to the question of artificial intelligence later today. Our next laureate is Ekaterina Mikhailova, the PhD student at MGIMO. Information law and intellectual property. It's very difficult it's very difficult to navigate between the provisions of these two branches of the law. Actually, we do not understand clearly where the borderlines today, and there are very few works on this topic. So thank you, Ekaterina. Yes, thank you very much. It's a pleasure for me to be here, to participate in this competition, and I'm glad to be receiving the second prize. And I can only echo what has already been said before me. It's very important to understand the balance between intellectual property and information technologies. In my paper, I wanted to focus on one of the very often used cases, the personal data, private data, according to the Russian law, and very recently a famous case was closed on the use on information in the public domain in the context of a violation of intellectual property rights. It is such an interesting topic where you have a convergence of IT law and IP law and law of contract, and I'm very happy that the jury liked my paper, and I hope that in the future the contest will grow and you will have more participants. Thank you. Thank you, Ekaterina. This is your award. This is the diploma of the State Duma committee, and a round of applause. Tomorrow in the morning, we'll be talking about data sovereignty, and everything that has just been raised here will definitely be addressed during tomorrow's discussions. Yes, this is a legal competition, and all the winners today are ladies, but please be sure that this is a coincidence. We maintain gender equality, and it's just so happened that all our winners turned out to be women. So let's welcome now Yulia Tiasto, the student of the High School of Economics who won the first place. She wrote a paper on legal nature of social networks. Thank you very much. Yes, thank you. I wrote about legal nature of social media, social networks, which have become an integral part of our everyday life. Everyone who is in this room, everyone who is watching the broadcast online have the experience of using social media. Today, social media is becoming the object of different contracts, like buy and sell contracts, and that's why it's very important to understand the nature of social media. There aren't many papers discussing that topic, and that's why I suggested my approach. There are two natures, I think, in a social media. There is the contract with the social media itself, which is the obligatory part, and then there is the part which is related to the rights, the absolute rights of the users, the rights to content, and that's why we are talking about two different approaches to the protection of both the obligations and the rights. And I believe I will continue my research in this topic. I found it absolutely fascinating. Yes, thank you very much. Thank you. Please do not go far. The winner of the contest also receives the award of the World Intellectual Property Organization, and we give the floor to the director of the Russian office of WIPO, Pavel Spitsyn. Good afternoon, colleagues, dear friends. On behalf of the World Intellectual Property Organization, I welcome all the organizers and participants of this absolutely wonderful event. It is a pleasure for us to be part of such forums and activities, especially since this one is held with the support of different government institutions and business community. I wanted to thank the organizers and IP Club in particular, together with the .ru Coordination Center, as well as the State Duma of the Russian Parliament, the Committee for Information Policy, and the chair of this committee, Alexander Khinstein. For WIPO, of course, it is important that we participate in all kinds of activities that raise awareness of intellectual property rights, and we can state that Russia is very active in distributing information about intellectual property, and we know that IP is taking a leading place in many economies of the world. We know that in Russia there is every condition to develop its national economy with the use of tools of intellectual property. We are pleased that this contest is organized with the support of WIPO, and as always, our organization decided that the winner would be receiving a special award from WIPO. It's an award for the students that study intellectual property. The award itself, well, we couldn't get it on time for the forum and for this award ceremony because of COVID-19 and the problems with logistics, but as soon as the award arrives, Yulia is going to get it. But now today we will award you with this certificate. Thank you very much. Yulia, please don't go just yet. On top of everything, the winner of the contest will receive an opportunity to get an internship at Igorov Puginsky and Partners law firm. Pavel Sadovsky, the representative of the law firm, the floor is yours. Colleagues, good afternoon. We wanted to thank the organizers and Marina personally for hosting this excellent competition. A lot of talented young lawyers submit their papers to the competition. I have to say that the winner of last year's competition, having first passed an internship with us, is still working with the law firm. We hope that today's winner will enjoy her internship too. The projects that we are assuming the customers who are coming to us, they are bringing more and more cases in the field of intellectual property, and we are very happy to give to you this certificate of an internship at our law firm. Actually, there is another nomination in our competition, which is called Protection of Digital Assets. And Yulia is not only the winner of the competition, but she is also a winner of this particular nomination. Людмила Kharitonova, who represents ISFN Partner and Partners, unfortunately, she couldn't be present here today. You know that lawyers work very odd hours, so I will be awarding this certificate. So once again, our winner made an impression on many of the experts. So once again, Yulia, thank you very much. Yulia set a record, I think. Yes, probably. The number where probably no one in the past collected so many awards during any of the previous competitions. Thank you very much. Well, as far as I understand, there are some special awards left. Yes, we have 3 more special awards. These are the awards for the winners in different nominations, and the companies who set up these nominations offered financial prizes. So it is my pleasure to invite to the stage Marina Matyshevskaya. I was trying to locate you in the room. I'm sorry. It took me a while. She is deputy head of the legal department of the National Antitrust Service. And there is a nomination instituted by the Anti-Monopoly Service, and the winner in this nomination is Svetlana Burchik, the master program student of the High School of Economics. Svetlana, are you in the room? Yes. Svetlana, please come to the stage to collect your award from the Antitrust Service. Colleagues, good afternoon, dear friends. It's a pleasure to welcome everyone who is associated with this competition. We wanted to thank the organizers for creating this competition, because it enables the research that is very relevant and basically indispensable these days. We know that the role of intellectual property today is very high. We see technologies are developing. There is progress in the economy facilitated by the progress in technology. Young researchers who are taking their first steps are already making a sizable contribution into the study of some very relevant topics. For instance, the topic of immunity and exemptions from antitrust law. It is a very relevant subject matter. And Svetlana carried out a very thorough analysis of international practices in this field. And she concludes that there should be a balance of interests between the end users, the ones who are getting some benefit as a result of using intellectual property rights, as well as businesses who represent the rights owners. So your recommendations, your takeaways, we actually reviewed your paper. We set up some internal committee to review all your papers. So again, thank you very much for providing us with a lot of food for thought. We support the interest of the young scientists, the young researchers in the field of anti-monopoly practices. And we suggest to publish your paper in the Russian journal on anti-monopoly practices. We will be very happy to continue our cooperation with you. Thank you very much. And congratulations once again. I wish you every success. And I wish you to become a very strong lawyer in the future. Thank you. Thank you to the Russian Antitrust Service. We know that some of your colleagues will be joining our breakout sessions later. Yes, good evening, colleagues. I will be brief. I wanted to say that the anti-monopoly law is a very important tool in the conflict resolution in intellectual property, in the intellectual property domain. And in my paper, I wanted to discuss how, with anti-monopoly provisions, some of the conflicts can be settled. Thank you. Thank you very much. One other special nomination is awarded to Anastasia Stepkova, a student with the Moscow State University. The award was offered by Alrut law firm. Good afternoon. We are grateful to the organizers for this competition. We are a team of intellectual property at Alrut, and we were surprised by the number of submissions and papers and the quality, the level of these works. It was a difficult choice. Our nomination was also focused on the convergence between IP law and anti-monopoly law. And Anastasia, we hope very much that you will use your prize and come for an internship at our law firm. Thank you. Yes, good afternoon. I wanted to thank the organizers of the contest and for and to Alrut also for the interesting topic that you suggested. An internship is definitely a great opportunity. Alrut is one of the leading Russian law firms. Thank you. Ekaterina Artemyeva, a master student of the High School of Economics, receives another award in the special nomination. Semyonov F. Pevzner instituted the nomination of video games and intellectual property. Well, you see, I'm speaking here on behalf of many award givers. So this time I will be representing Semyonov and Pevzner law firm. This nomination of video games is extremely relevant today because there is virtually no regulation of the field. There are still many outstanding issues there. We need to protect the rights of cyber athletes, cyber sportsmen. There are still, again, many aspects uncovered by the regulation, and we received a lot of papers on video games, to tell you the truth. The managing partner of Simonov and Pevsner was telling me that it was difficult for them to select the winner, but Ekaterina won everybody's admiration, and colleagues were impressed by her work. So it's not a surprise that she wins in this nomination, and the company is also offering an internship to Ekaterina. Ekaterina, would you like to say something? Well, all I can say is thank you. Thank you so much. In my paper, I discussed streaming as a free license case. I do not want to go now through all the conclusions that I made. I just wanted to mention perhaps that streaming today is one of the more controversial topics in intellectual property. I wanted to thank the organizers of this contest and the jury. You had to read 100 papers. It must have been exhaustive, but thank you for this opportunity. In the nomination Human Rights in the Digital Society, which was established by the Development of Legal Systems Publishing House, the award went to Svetlana Fomina from the Siberian Federal University. Unfortunately, she couldn't come. And there are several other laureates who will be receiving awards from the International Center of Comparative Studies, Igor Chustrin from the Moscow Law University, Dmitry Nazarov from Urals Law University, and Nikita Petrakov, the student of the kc.rf Institute of the Ministry of Interior Affairs. Colleagues, I think that we should be concluding this awards ceremony. It's just that we didn't want you to have an impression that the submissions will be buried somewhere on the shelves of our competition. Of course not. The jury selected several papers that will be published. Well, you have already heard that there will be papers published in the Journal of the Anti-Monopoly Service, but there is also the official publication of the Tribunal on Digital Rights, and also the Digital Law Journal. So you can see that these are not some theoretical considerations, but many of the works have applicability, that they have some very practical consequences, and that's why we believe that our competition is so useful, and that's why we want to make the findings of our lawyers available to the public. What about the next competition? Because many people have been asking me. I know that we've been receiving questions also over YouTube. I mean, people are posting comments. Okay, we understand about the 6th competition. We know who the winners are, but what about the 7th competition? Well, usually we make our official announcement sometime at the end of September, early October. This is the time when all schools are back to business, so to say, and everyone is back from vacation. This is when we start advertising our competition, usually. So please follow our news as to who is admitted, all students, or PhD students, or even people who graduated from higher education institutions not longer than 3 years ago. So you see, our audience is rather wide. We will be happy to receive your applications. And we want our competition to grow, to expand. We'll be happy to acquire new participants. Well, actually, there are some people who participate for several years in a row. Many of them are very good, very strong students. Our future lawyer stars, I'm sure. So again, please follow our news. You can also refer to IP Club webpage. This is where we publish all the regulations and statutes of the competition and all kinds of information about the contest. Well, we are ready to close this award ceremony. We thank the jury and we thank all the winners and participants of this competition. We also wanted to thank the partners for excellent prizes and for their support. Thank you very much and see you next time. Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. And we are about to close the opening ceremony of the Russian Internet Governance Forum 2021. I can see that the journalists already are waiting for the organizers of the competition and the winners as well. In the last 2 years, because we didn't have an RIGF in 2020, in the last 2 years since 2019, COVID made us stop and rethink some of the routines. And this kind of reflection actually is invaluable. It's a luxury that we couldn't afford in the olden days. In terms of internet governance, in the last 2 years, we stopped hearing about the global village, about the global internet village. You remember this talk was quite popular just a few years back. We also see that the balance is broken between the global stakeholders, between the interested parties, whose opinion is taken into account when designing common rules. And in the near future, at our sessions, we have to admit that not only did the agenda become longer, but actually we are about to have much more profound discussions. The pandemic proved to be a stress test for the infrastructure in Russia and in many other countries. Our colleagues passed this test with flying colors. In the next 3 days, we will be searching for the answers to the most relevant contemporary questions. And Ilona, I will ask you to brief us about today's agenda. Yes, today we are going to have 2 sessions, one on internet governance in the broader sense of the word. We will be focusing on the roadmap on a global digital cooperation initiated by the Secretary General of the United Nations. And the second session will be dedicated to artificial intelligence and ethics. If you remember, Russia adopted a national strategy on artificial intelligence. And the matters at the crossroads of new technologies and ethics will be discussed today with participation of our esteemed guests. Now we will have a coffee break, and those of you who were receiving government awards or the competition awards, you can now talk to the press. In any case, this is a hybrid format of the forum. In the room we have journalists, experts, moderators, and key speakers, and award recipients. And we have a very wide audience watching the broadcast online. Please be back at 10 minutes past noon. Thank you very much. We will resume our work at 10 minutes past 12. Thank you.